G'day, legends, and welcome back to Outback Confessions, where we delve into the darkest, most perplexing corners of Australia's history. Today, we're embarking on a journey into one of the most enduring and baffling cold cases to ever grip the land down under, the enigma of the Somerton Man. Found on a quiet Adelaide beach in 1948, this man's death was just the beginning of a mystery that has puzzled detectives, cryptographers, and armchair sleuths for over 75 years. Who was he? How did he die? And what secrets did he take to his grave? Join us as we unravel the threads of this extraordinary tale, chapter by chapter, revealing curious details and chilling speculations that will keep you on the edge of your seat. So, grab a cuppa, settle in, and prepare to have your minds boggled by the Somerton Man. Chapter 1. Imagine, if you will, a balmy summer morning, December 1st, 1948. The sun is just beginning to warm the sands of Somerton Beach, a picturesque stretch of coastline in Adelaide, South Australia. It's a tranquil scene, the kind that draws early risers, dog walkers, and couples seeking a peaceful start to their day. But on this particular morning, the serenity was shattered by a discovery that would echo through the decades, becoming one of Australia's most perplexing and enduring mysteries. At precisely 6:30 a.m., a pair of young lovers out for a romantic stroll along the shore stumbled upon a sight that would forever be etched in their memories. Lying motionless against the seawall, near the steps leading down from the esplanade, was a man. He was impeccably dressed, a stark contrast to the casual beachgoers. A light brown double-breasted suit jacket, a pristine white shirt, a red and blue tie, and perfectly polished brown shoes adorned his figure. His hair was neatly combed, and his face, though pale, bore no obvious signs of distress or injury. He looked, in fact, as if he had simply fallen into a deep, peaceful slumber. But he wasn't sleeping. He was dead. The initial reaction was one of confusion, then concern. Passers-by gathered, their whispers turning to murmurs of unease. A local businessman, John Lyons, was among the first to examine the body more closely. He noted the man's position, lying on his back, head resting against the seawall, legs extended and crossed at the ankles. There was no sign of a struggle, no disarray in his clothing, no bloodstains on the sand. It was an unnervingly tidy death. Lyons, a man of practical mind, initially thought he was merely a drunkard who had passed out, but a closer inspection revealed the chilling truth. The man's body was cold, rigid. This was no ordinary beach bum. This was a mystery. Police were immediately summoned. Detective Sergeant Lionel Lean and his team arrived on the scene, their professional detachment quickly giving way to a growing sense of bewilderment. The first puzzle: identification. The man carried no wallet, no identification papers, no personal letters, nothing that could offer a clue to his name or origin. His pockets, when searched, yielded only a few mundane items: a ticket for a train from Adelaide to Henley Beach, a second-class bus ticket from the city, a packet of Army Club cigarettes, a half-empty box of Bryant and May matches, and a stick of juicy fruit chewing gum. These were the possessions of an ordinary man, yet they offered no extraordinary insights. It was as if he had deliberately erased his own identity before his final moments. A ghost in a perfectly tailored suit. But the most unsettling detail, the one that truly set this case apart from any other, was yet to be discovered. When the man's clothing was later examined in forensic detail, a chilling pattern emerged. Every single label, from his suit jacket to his underwear, had been meticulously, almost surgically cut away. Not torn, not ripped, but carefully removed, leaving no trace of their original presence. This wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate act of concealment, a desperate attempt to render the man anonymous. Who would go to such lengths to erase their own existence? Was he a spy, a fugitive, a man with a past so dark he needed to vanish without a trace? Or was he a victim, stripped of his identity by an unknown assailant? Adelaide in 1948 was a relatively quiet, conservative city, still recovering from the war but on the cusp of a post-war boom. Such a bizarre and inexplicable death was unheard of, sending ripples of unease through the community. The local newspapers, usually filled with stories of civic events and sporting triumphs, now splashed headlines about the Somerton man and the baffling circumstances of his demise. The initial public reaction was a mix of morbid curiosity and genuine concern. People called in with tips, some claiming to recognize the man, others offering wild theories. But each lead, each hopeful identification, led to a dead end. The man remained nameless, his past a blank slate. This wasn't just a local curiosity. It quickly became a national obsession. The image of the well-dressed anonymous man on the beach, his identity meticulously erased, resonated deeply. It tapped into a primal fear, the idea of vanishing without a trace, of becoming a nameless statistic. The police, usually accustomed to dealing with more straightforward cases, found themselves facing a puzzle of unprecedented complexity. They scoured missing persons reports, circulated photographs, and interviewed anyone who might have seen something unusual on the beach that night. Yet the silence surrounding the Somerton man was deafening. It was as if he had materialized out of thin air, a phantom figure leaving behind only questions. The very ordinariness of his possessions, the bus ticket, the chewing gum, the matches, only served to heighten the mystery. These were not the items of a spy, nor a desperate fugitive. They were the everyday trappings of a regular bloke, someone who could have been anyone's neighbor, father, or brother. And yet he was nobody. This stark contrast between the mundane and the utterly inexplicable created a chilling narrative that captivated the public. The lack of any struggle or obvious foul play suggested a quiet, almost peaceful end, which only made the deliberate act of identity erasure more sinister. Was he a victim of a meticulously planned murder, designed to leave no trace? Or was he a man who chose to end his life and his identity in a final, enigmatic act? The initial investigation was thorough, but limited by the technology of the time. Fingerprint analysis was still in its infancy, and DNA profiling was decades away. The police relied on traditional methods, but the Somerton man seemed to defy every conventional investigative technique. He was a blank canvas, and every attempt to paint a picture of his life only added more layers to the enigma. The beach itself, usually a place of joy and relaxation, now held a darker, more unsettling aura. It was the site of an unsolved death, a silent witness to a mystery that would haunt Adelaide for generations. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the case of the Somerton man became a national talking point. Pub conversations, dinner table discussions, and newspaper columns were filled with theories and speculation. Everyone had an opinion, everyone had a guess. Was he a sailor who jumped ship, a disillusioned soldier, a heartbroken lover? The possibilities were endless, and the lack of answers only fueled the public's insatiable curiosity. The police, under increasing pressure, found themselves chasing shadows, their efforts hampered by the very nature of the mystery. A man who simply did not want to be found, even in death. This initial phase of the investigation, marked by confusion, frustration, and a growing sense of the inexplicable, laid the groundwork for the legend of the Somerton man. It was a case that defied logic, a puzzle with missing pieces, and a story that would only grow stranger with each new discovery. The silent stranger on Somerton Beach had arrived, and with him, an enigma that would echo through the decades, a chilling testament to the fact that sometimes the most ordinary scenes can hide the most extraordinary secrets. And as we close this chapter, we leave you with a lingering question. What kind of man goes to such lengths to erase his own existence? And what dark secret was he trying to protect? The answer, if it ever comes, will be even more shocking than the mystery itself. The discovery of the Somerton man immediately triggered a full-scale police investigation, and the first crucial step was, of course, the autopsy. The body was transported to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, where Dr. John Dwyer, the director of pathology, began his meticulous examination. What he found, or rather, what he didn't find, only deepened the chilling mystery that had begun on Somerton Beach. Dr. Dwyer's initial findings were perplexing. The man appeared to be in peak physical condition, a picture of health for someone in his mid-40s. His heart was healthy, his organs showed no signs of disease, and there were no visible external injuries, no bruises, no cuts, no signs of a struggle. This ruled out a violent altercation or a natural death from a pre-existing condition. Yet, the man was undeniably dead. The absence of a clear cause of death was the first major red flag. It suggested something far more sinister, something deliberately concealed. However, Dr. Dwyer did note some unusual internal findings. There was a significant congestion of blood in the man's brain and other internal organs, including the spleen and liver. This, coupled with the absence of any other obvious pathology, led him to a chilling suspicion: poisoning. But not just any poison. He theorized it was a fast-acting, untraceable substance, possibly a barbiturate or a potent derivative, that would leave no discernible residue in the body. This was a poison designed to kill silently, efficiently, and without a trace. The idea of such a sophisticated, undetectable poison in 1948 was unsettling, hinting at a level of premeditation and expertise that was truly alarming. Who possessed such knowledge? And why would they use it on this seemingly ordinary man? Adding another layer to this already convoluted puzzle was the state of the man's clothing. Every single label, from his expensive suit jacket to his underwear, had been meticulously, almost surgically, cut off. This wasn't a hurried, panicked act. It was a deliberate, precise removal, leaving no trace of the manufacturer or tailor. Imagine the patience, the sheer determination required to perform such a task. It spoke volumes about the perpetrator's intent to render the victim utterly anonymous, to erase his very existence. This detail immediately sparked theories. Was he a spy, operating under deep cover, whose identity needed to be protected at all costs, even in death? Was he a fugitive, desperate to escape a past that threatened to catch up with him? Or was he a victim of a crime so profound that his identity had to be obliterated? The police, armed with these baffling findings, launched a widespread investigation. Fingerprints were taken and circulated through national and international databases, including Scotland Yard. Dental records were meticulously examined. Descriptions of the man were broadcast across radio waves and printed in newspapers, urging anyone with information to come forward. Yet the response was deafening silence. No missing persons report matched his description. No family members came forward to claim him. It was as if the Somerton man had simply materialized on that beach, a ghost with no past, no connections, no one to mourn his passing. This lack of identification was unprecedented. In a post-war world, where people were constantly moving and identities could be fluid, it was still highly unusual for a body to remain unclaimed for so long, especially one found in such public circumstances. The police were baffled, their conventional methods proving useless against this wall of anonymity. The case quickly became a national sensation, a morbid fascination that gripped the Australian public. The image of the unidentified man, his face captured in haunting autopsy photographs, became a symbol of the inexplicable, a stark reminder of the dark undercurrents that could exist beneath the veneer of everyday life. The meticulous removal of the labels, in particular, became a focal point of public discussion. It suggested a level of planning and sophistication that was deeply unsettling. This wasn't a random act of violence. It was a calculated move, designed to thwart identification. It hinted at a world of secrets, of clandestine operations, of individuals who lived and died in the shadows. The very ordinariness of the man's appearance, coupled with the extraordinary lengths taken to conceal his identity, created a chilling paradox. He was a man who could have been anyone, and yet he was nobody. This profound anonymity became his defining characteristic, the first and most enduring clue in a mystery that would only deepen with time. As the initial weeks of the investigation yielded no answers, the police found themselves in uncharted territory. They had a body, a suspected cause of death, and a handful of mundane possessions, but no name, no motive, and no leads. The Somerton man remained an enigma, a silent testament to a crime or a tragedy that defied explanation. The stage was set for one of Australia's most enduring puzzles, a case that would challenge the very notion of identity and leave generations of investigators and amateur sleuths scratching their heads. And as we close this chapter, we are left with the chilling image of those meticulously removed labels, a silent scream from a man whose existence was deliberately erased. What dark secret was he protecting, or what sinister force sought to bury his past forever? The next clue, when it finally emerged, would be even more bizarre and would lead the investigation down an entirely unexpected path. Chapter 3. The Cryptic Clue, Tamám Shud and the Rubaiyat. Just when the case of the Somerton man seemed destined to fade into the annals of unsolved mysteries, a discovery was made that would not only reignite the investigation, but propel it into the realm of the truly bizarre. 8 months after the body was found, a tiny, almost imperceptible clue emerged from the depths of the deceased man's meticulously tailored trousers. Tucked away in a hidden fob pocket, a pocket so small it was often overlooked, police found a tightly rolled-up piece of paper. It was no bigger than a postage stamp, and on it 2 words were printed in a distinctive, almost elegant font, Tamám Shud. These 2 words, meaning finished or ended in Persian, were a direct quote from the final page of a rare 11th century collection of poems, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. This wasn't just any copy of the Rubaiyat, it was a specific edition, published by Whitcomb and Tombs in New Zealand. The discovery sent a jolt through the investigation. After months of dead ends, a literary clue, a poetic whisper from the grave, had finally surfaced. It was a moment that transformed the Somerton man from a mere unidentified body into a character in a real-life literary thriller. The Rubaiyat itself is a collection of quatrains, or 4-line poems by the Persian polymath Omar Khayyam. Its themes often revolve around the fleeting nature of life, the inevitability of death, and the pursuit of pleasure in the face of an uncertain destiny. The phrase Tamám Shud marks the very end of the book, a poignant and final declaration. For the Somerton man to carry this specific phrase, hidden away, suggested a profound, perhaps even fatalistic, connection to its meaning. Was it a suicide note, a final farewell? Or was it a message, a signal, a piece of a larger, more intricate puzzle? But the story of the Rubaiyat didn't end there. The police, now with a new tantalizing lead, issued a public appeal for anyone who owned a copy of the Whitcomb and Tombs edition of the Rubaiyat, with its final page missing. And astonishingly, someone came forward. A local man, a businessman named Prosper Thompson, no relation to Jessica Thompson, though the coincidence is often noted, reported that he had found a copy of the Rubaiyat on the back seat of his unlocked car, parked near Somerton Beach, on the night before the body was discovered. He hadn't thought much of it at the time, assuming it belonged to a friend, but when he heard the police appeal, he checked his copy. Lo and behold, the final page, the one containing Tamám Shud, was indeed torn out. This was a staggering development. The book, found so close to the body and missing the very page from which the slip was torn, seemed to be the missing link. It suggested a direct connection between the book, the man, and the location of his death. But the plot, as it always does in this case, thickened further. When police meticulously examined Prosper Thompson's copy of the Rubaiyat, they found something else, something even more perplexing, scrawled in faint pencil on the back cover. It wasn't a name, or an address, or a confession. It was a series of seemingly random letters, arranged in 5 lines, some crossed out, others seemingly incomplete. It looked like a code, a cipher, a secret message. This discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation. The case was no longer just about an unidentified body. It was about a man who had left behind a literary breadcrumb, a poetic epitaph, and a coded message that defied immediate understanding. The Rubaiyat, once a symbol of philosophical contemplation, now became a key, albeit a frustratingly complex one, to unlocking the identity and fate of the Somerton man. The police, who had initially been dealing with a straightforward, if anonymous death, now found themselves embroiled in a cryptographic nightmare. The implications were profound. If the man had indeed carried the Tamám Shud slip, and if that slip came from this very book, then the book itself was a direct link to the deceased. But what was the nature of that link? Was it a personal memento, a final philosophical statement, or something far more sinister? The police, along with intelligence agencies, began to scrutinize every line of the Rubaiyat, searching for hidden meanings, for clues that might shed light on the man's identity or the circumstances of his death. The poem's themes of fate, destiny, and the fleeting nature of life suddenly took on a chilling new resonance. The discovery of the code on the back cover was the ultimate twist. It transformed the case from a mere police investigation into a global cryptographic challenge. Experts from around the world, both official and amateur, began to pore over the seemingly random letters, trying to crack the enigma. Was it a simple substitution cipher, a complex one-time pad, or something entirely different? A code so personal it defied conventional decryption. The very act of leaving such a code suggested a deliberate intent to communicate, but to whom and what message was so vital that it had to be encoded and left behind in such a peculiar manner? The Rubaiyat itself became a character in the drama. Its rarity, its specific edition, and the missing final page all contributed to the growing mystique. It wasn't just a book, it was a puzzle box, a literary key to a locked door. The fact that it was found in an unlocked car, seemingly discarded, added another layer of confusion. Was it placed there by the Somerton man himself, in a final, desperate act? Or was it left by someone else, a silent accomplice or a cunning killer, attempting to mislead the investigation? The public, already captivated by the anonymous man, was now enthralled by the poetic and cryptographic dimensions of the case. Newspapers ran articles about Omar Khayyam. Amateur sleuths tried their hand at cracking the code, and the phrase Tamám Shud entered the Australian lexicon, a shorthand for an unsolved mystery. The case was no longer just a local tragedy. It was an international sensation, a real-life spy novel unfolding in the quiet suburbs of Adelaide. This chapter of the Somerton Man saga is perhaps the most iconic, the one that cemented its place in the pantheon of great unsolved mysteries. The image of that tiny slip of paper, bearing those two haunting words, and the cryptic code on the back of a philosophical poem, is what truly sets this case apart. It speaks to a level of premeditation, a deliberate attempt to leave a trail of breadcrumbs that, paradoxically, only led deeper into the labyrinth. It suggested a mind at work, a plan, a purpose behind the anonymity. But whose mind, whose plan, whose purpose? As we close this chapter, we are left with the profound weight of those two words, Tamám Shud, finished, ended. But what truly ended on Somerton Beach that day? Was it just a life, or was it a carefully constructed identity, meticulously dismantled piece by piece? And what about that code? Was it a desperate plea, a final confession, or a chilling message from beyond the grave? The answers, if they exist, lie hidden within those undeciphered letters, a silent challenge to anyone brave enough to try and crack the Somerton man's ultimate secret. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the attempts to break this unbreakable cipher and explore the minds that tried to unlock the Somerton man's final, cryptic message. Chapter 4. The Unbreakable Cipher. A Code from the Grave. The discovery of the Tamám Shud slip was, without a doubt, a bombshell. But what truly elevated the Somerton Man case from a local curiosity to an international obsession was the cryptic sequence of letters scrawled in faint pencil on the back cover of that Rubaiyat copy. It wasn't a casual doodle. It was a deliberate, if utterly baffling, message. 5 lines of seemingly random characters. Mergo Ababd, Mliawi, Wta Benga Samstgab. Some letters were crossed out, others appeared incomplete, as if the writer had been interrupted or was working in haste. This wasn't just a random scribble. It looked like a code, a cipher, a secret message from the grave. Immediately, this discovery ignited a frenzy. Police, initially stumped by the lack of conventional clues, now had a new, tantalizing lead. But this wasn't a job for beat cops. This was a task for cryptographers, for code breakers, for the sharpest minds in the intelligence community. The Australian Military Intelligence, Scotland Yard, and even the FBI were reportedly consulted, their experts poring over the enigmatic sequence, trying to force meaning from the chaos. The public, already captivated by the anonymous man, was now enthralled by the prospect of a hidden message, a final confession, or perhaps a chilling revelation. Decades have passed since that fateful discovery, and despite countless attempts by some of the brightest minds, both official and amateur, this code remains stubbornly undeciphered. It stands as one of the most frustrating and enduring cryptographic puzzles in history. Why has it proven so resilient? The primary challenge lies in the absence of a known key or a clear encryption method. Without a starting point, without a Rosetta Stone, every attempt to crack it is akin to searching for a needle in a haystack, blindfolded. Theories about the code's meaning and purpose are as numerous and varied as the people who have tried to solve it. One of the most persistent and intriguing theories, especially given the post-war climate, was that it was a complex espionage cipher. The meticulous removal of labels, the suspected poisoning, the man's seemingly professional appearance, all these elements seem to align with the narrative of a Cold War spy. In this scenario, the code could be a list of contacts, a set of instructions, or even a report on a clandestine operation. Imagine the thrill and the terror of uncovering a message from a secret agent, a silent testament to a hidden war being waged in the shadows of ordinary life. This theory gained significant traction, fueling the public's fascination and adding a layer of international intrigue to the already mysterious case. Another popular theory suggested a more personal, perhaps even romantic connection. Could the code be a love poem, a secret message to a lover, or even a suicide note written in a private code known only to him and one other? The Rubaiyat itself, with its themes of love, loss, and the fleeting nature of life, lent itself to this interpretation. Perhaps the Somerton Man was a man of letters, a poet, or simply someone who preferred to communicate in riddles. This theory humanized the enigma, transforming him from a faceless spy into a man with a heart, a past, and perhaps a tragic love story. Then there were the more mundane yet equally plausible suggestions. Given Carl Webb's later identification and his known interest in horse racing, some speculated the code might relate to gambling, perhaps a list of horse names or betting odds. While less dramatic than espionage or tragic romance, this theory offered a practical, albeit still unconfirmed explanation for the cryptic sequence. The very ambiguity of the code allowed for such a wide range of interpretations, each reflecting the hopes, fears, and biases of those attempting to decipher it. The methods employed to crack the code have been diverse, ranging from traditional cryptanalysis to modern computational linguistics. Experts have tried frequency analysis, substitution ciphers, transposition ciphers, and even attempts to match the letters to the first letters of words in the Rubaiyat itself. Some have suggested it's a visionaire cipher, others a one-time pad, a method considered virtually unbreakable if used correctly. The fact that it has resisted all these attempts only adds to its mystique, solidifying its reputation as an unbreakable cipher. One of the most frustrating aspects for code breakers is the brevity of the message. Shorter codes offer fewer patterns for analysis, making them inherently more difficult to crack. It's like trying to understand a complex language from just a few isolated words. The seemingly random arrangement of the letters, with some crossed out, further complicates matters, suggesting either a hurried composition or a deliberate attempt to mislead. The code, like the man himself, refused to yield its secrets easily. It became a silent scream from the grave, a final unyielding challenge that the Somerton man took with him, adding yet another layer of impenetrable mystery to his already perplexing demise. It's a testament to the human desire for answers, for closure, that this code continues to be studied, debated, and obsessed over, even decades after its discovery. It's a constant reminder that some secrets are buried so deep, they may never see the light of day. As we close this chapter, we are left with the chilling image of those cryptic letters, a silent challenge etched onto the pages of a philosophical poem. Was it a desperate plea, a final confession, or a chilling message from beyond the grave? The answers, if they exist, lie hidden within those undeciphered lines, a silent challenge to anyone brave enough to try and crack the Somerton man's ultimate secret. The code, much like the man, remains a profound enigma, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown. And as we move forward, we'll explore another crucial piece of this puzzle, a human connection that, for a time, seemed to offer a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Join us next time, as we delve into the intriguing story of the woman who held a key, or perhaps another secret, to the Somerton man's identity. Chapter 5. The Woman in the Frame, Jessica Thompson, and the Phone Number. Just when the Somerton man case seemed to be spiraling into an abyss of unanswerable questions, a glimmer of a human connection emerged, a thread that promised to lead investigators out of the labyrinth. Tucked inside the Rubaiyat book, the very one from which the Tamám Shud slip was torn, police found a handwritten telephone number. This wasn't just any number. It belonged to a young nurse named Jessica Thompson, who lived just a few hundred meters from where the Somerton man's body was found in the suburb of Glenelg. The proximity was startling, almost too coincidental. Naturally, she became a person of intense interest, a potential key to unlocking the identity of the silent stranger. Jessica Ellen Thompson, born Jessie Harkness, was a 27-year-old nurse, a seemingly ordinary woman living an ordinary life. When police first approached her, she initially denied any knowledge of the deceased man. She claimed she had given a copy of the Rubaiyat to a man named Alfred Boxall, a former Army lieutenant and poet, during World War II. Boxall was quickly located, alive and well, and crucially, his copy of the Rubaiyat was intact, with its final page still present. This seemed to rule out a direct connection between Thompson's book and the one found with the Somerton man. Or did it? The plot, as always in this case, was far from straightforward. However, a curious and deeply unsettling detail emerged during her interview with Detective Sergeant Lean. To aid in identification, a plaster bust of the Somerton man's head and shoulders had been made. When police showed this bust to Thompson, her reaction was anything but ordinary. She reportedly recoiled, visibly startled, quickly averting her gaze. She maintained her denial, insisting she didn't know the man, but her sudden, involuntary reaction spoke volumes. Was it genuine shock at the sight of a stranger's death mask? Or was it a flicker of recognition, a moment of profound unease that she desperately tried to conceal? The police certainly suspected the latter, believing she knew far more than she was letting on. This dramatic encounter fueled a torrent of speculation. The theory began to circulate. Could the Somerton man have been a jilted lover, a secret admirer, or someone from her past, perhaps a wartime acquaintance? The proximity of her home to the discovery site, coupled with the phone number in the book, painted a compelling, if unconfirmed, picture of a deeper, more personal connection. Was he seeking her out? Was she the reason he was in Adelaide? The possibilities were endless, and each one added a layer of human drama to the cold, hard facts of the case. Adding to the intrigue, Thompson herself was a complex figure. She was known to be a private person, and her reluctance to fully cooperate with the police only heightened suspicions. Her daughter, Kate Thompson, would later reveal that her mother was indeed a very secretive woman, and that she had always believed her mother knew the Somerton man. This posthumous revelation, years after Jessica Thompson's death, only deepened the mystery surrounding her role. Did she protect a secret for decades? And if so, what was it? The police, despite their suspicions, were unable to break through Thompson's resolute denial. Without a confession or irrefutable evidence, her connection remained a tantalizing, yet unproven link. The phone number, the bust, her reaction, these were all circumstantial, yet powerfully suggestive. It was a classic case of knowing something, but being unable to prove it. The very ambiguity of her involvement became another layer of the enigma, a human face to the faceless man. Some theories even suggested a more sinister connection. Could Thompson have been involved in the man's death, perhaps as an accomplice or even the perpetrator? While there was no direct evidence to support such a claim, the sheer oddity of her reaction and her subsequent silence kept the possibility alive in the minds of some investigators and amateur sleuths. The case, already a tangled web of clues, now had a central female figure, a potential femme fatale or a tragic bystander whose true role remained frustratingly out of reach. Jessica Thompson, a seemingly ordinary woman, was now inextricably linked to one of Australia's most baffling mysteries, adding a deeply personal and emotional element to the cold, hard facts of the case. Her silence, or perhaps her carefully chosen words, became another layer of the enigma, a silent testament to a secret she carried to her grave. The question lingered: was she a victim of circumstance caught in a web she didn't understand? Or was she a knowing participant in a drama that ended in tragedy? As we close this chapter, we are left with the haunting image of Jessica Thompson's startled reaction to the Somerton man's bust, a fleeting moment that hinted at a truth she refused to reveal. What was the nature of her connection to this mysterious stranger? And what secrets did she carry? Secrets that might have unlocked the entire case. The answers, if they exist, are buried with her, adding another layer of profound mystery to the Somerton man's enduring legacy. Join us next time as we delve into the chilling whispers of espionage that surrounded this case and explore the possibility that the Somerton man was more than just a man. He was a pawn in a much larger global game. Chapter 6: Whispers of Espionage. The Cold War Connection. The year 1948 was more than just a year. It was a pivot point in history. The Second World War had barely ended, but a new chilling conflict was already brewing: the Cold War. The world was rapidly dividing into two ideological blocks, East and West, and the air was thick with suspicion, paranoia, and the silent battles of espionage. Australia, though geographically distant from the traditional European battlegrounds, was far from immune. Its strategic location in the Pacific, its rich natural resources, and its burgeoning scientific and military capabilities made it a crucial, albeit often overlooked player in this global chess match. It was against this backdrop of simmering international tension that the Somerton man mystery unfolded, and soon, whispers of espionage began to circulate, transforming a local tragedy into a potential international incident. The elements of the case, when viewed through the lens of Cold War paranoia, suddenly took on a sinister new meaning. The meticulous removal of every single clothing label, a detail that had baffled investigators from the start, now seemed like a textbook spy tactic. Agents operating under deep cover often stripped their belongings of any identifying marks to prevent their true origins from being traced. The untraceable poison, suspected by Dr. Dwyer, also fit the narrative. Intelligence agencies were known to develop and deploy exotic, fast-acting toxins that left no forensic trace. perfect for silent assassinations or eliminating compromised assets. This wasn't just a random act of violence, it was a professional hit, executed with chilling precision. Then there was the cryptic code found in the Rubaiyat. In a world obsessed with secret messages and clandestine communications, this sequence of seemingly random letters screamed spy cipher. Was it a dead drop message, a set of instructions for a mission, or perhaps a list of contacts? The very existence of such a code, coupled with the other bizarre circumstances, made it almost impossible for intelligence agencies to ignore. They were, after all, in the business of deciphering secrets, and the Somerton man's code was the ultimate challenge. Adelaide itself, a seemingly quiet and provincial city, held a surprising strategic significance in the post-war era. It was home to a highly secretive joint Australian-British intelligence facility, a hub for scientific research and military development. This made it a prime target for foreign espionage, particularly from the Soviet Union, which was aggressively expanding its intelligence networks globally. The theory gained traction. The Somerton man could have been an operative, either on a clandestine mission for a foreign power, or more chillingly, eliminated by his own side for being compromised, or by a rival agency seeking to silence him. The beach, a seemingly innocuous location, could have been a rendezvous point, a drop-off, or even the site of a fatal exchange. The spy theory offered a compelling, albeit unsettling explanation for many of the case's most baffling aspects. It accounted for the anonymity, the untraceable death, and the coded message. It painted a picture of a man living a double life, a silent warrior in a hidden war, whose true allegiance and mission were buried with him. The Rubaiyat itself, a collection of philosophical poems, could have been a seemingly innocent cover, a prop in a dangerous game of deception. The phrase Tamám Shud, meaning finished, could have been a prearranged signal, a final word from a dying agent, or a chilling message from his killers. However, despite the compelling nature of the spy theory, no concrete evidence ever definitively linked the Somerton man to any intelligence agency. No foreign government claimed him. No secret files were ever declassified that shed light on his alleged espionage activities. The theory remained just that, a theory, albeit one that refused to die. It was fueled by the context of the times, the pervasive fear of communism, and the public's fascination with the shadowy world of spies and counterspies. The lack of answers only allowed the theory to fester, to grow, to become an almost irresistible explanation for the inexplicable. The case of the Somerton man, in this narrative, became a silent casualty in a hidden war, his true allegiance forever buried beneath the sands of Somerton Beach. He was a man who, if the spy theory held true, had lived and died by the rules of a game where anonymity was the ultimate weapon, and secrets were more valuable than life itself. His story, therefore, became a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the dangers lurking beneath the surface of a seemingly peaceful world. Even with the later identification of Webb, the spy theory hasn't entirely vanished. Some still argue that Webb, despite his seemingly ordinary life, could have been recruited or involved in some form of intelligence work. The circumstances of his disappearance and death, even with a name attached, still possess an air of the clandestine. The very ambiguity of the case allows for these persistent interpretations, keeping the Cold War connection alive in the minds of many. This chapter highlights the power of context in shaping our understanding of a mystery. In a world gripped by the fear of espionage, it was almost inevitable that the Somerton man, with his bizarre circumstances, would be seen as a potential spy. It speaks to the human tendency to seek patterns, to connect dots, even when those connections are tenuous. The Somerton man became a canvas onto which the anxieties and suspicions of the Cold War era were projected, transforming him into a figure larger than life, a symbol of the hidden dangers that lurked in the shadows. As we close this chapter, we are left to ponder the chilling possibility that the Somerton man was indeed a secret agent, a silent warrior whose mission ended tragically on a quiet Australian beach. Was he a hero, a traitor, or simply a pawn in a game far beyond his control? The answer, like so many others in this case, remains elusive, a testament to the enduring power of secrets. But one thing is certain: the whispers of espionage will forever cling to the enigma of the Somerton Man, adding a layer of thrilling, yet unsettling intrigue to his already perplexing story. Join us next time as we finally reveal the name that was hidden for so long and explore the monumental breakthrough that brought the Somerton Man out of the shadows and into the light. Chapter 7. The DNA Breakthrough. Carl Webb, finally identified. For over 7 decades, the Somerton Man remained Australia's most enduring unidentified person, a haunting cipher in the annals of true crime. His face, captured in that eerie plastered death mask, was known to millions, yet his name remained a secret, locked away in the past. But in 2022, a monumental breakthrough, born from the relentless dedication of a few determined individuals and the incredible advancements in forensic science, finally gave him a name. The silent stranger of Somerton Beach was identified as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker from Melbourne. This wasn't a sudden, dramatic revelation in a dusty police archive. This was the culmination of years of painstaking work, primarily spearheaded by 2 remarkable figures: Colleen Fitzpatrick, a renowned American forensic genealogist, and Professor Derek Abbott, a professor at the University of Adelaide who had been obsessed with the Somerton Man case for years. Their collaboration was a testament to the power of modern science and unwavering persistence. The key to unlocking the mystery lay not in old files, but in the very essence of the man himself, his DNA. The challenge was immense. The Somerton Man's body had been exhumed in 2021, but the initial attempts to extract viable DNA from his remains proved difficult due to the passage of time and the conditions of burial. However, a crucial, almost miraculous piece of evidence existed: the plaster death mask made shortly after his body was discovered. Embedded within the plaster, almost imperceptibly, were strands of hair. These hairs, though few and fragile, contained the precious genetic material needed for analysis. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble, but it paid off. Fitzpatrick and Abbott employed a cutting-edge technique known as forensic genetic genealogy. This method involves extracting degraded DNA, sequencing it, and then uploading the genetic profile to public genealogy databases. By comparing the unknown DNA profile to millions of others in these databases, researchers can identify distant relatives. It's like building a family tree in reverse, tracing ancestral lines until a common ancestor, and eventually, a direct relative, can be identified. This process is incredibly complex, requiring not only scientific expertise but also meticulous genealogical research to connect the genetic dots to historical records. After months of dedicated work, sifting through countless genetic matches and historical documents, Fitzpatrick and Abbott narrowed down their search. The genetic trail led them to the Webb family. And then, the moment of truth. A definitive match. The Somerton Man was identified as Carl Charles Webb, born in Melbourne, Victoria in 1905. The news sent shockwaves through the true crime community and beyond. After 74 years, the most famous unidentified person in Australia finally had a name. But who was Carl Webb? The identification, while monumental, didn't immediately solve the entire mystery. It shifted the focus from who was he to what happened to him, and why was he on Somerton Beach? Carl Webb's life, as pieced together by researchers, was not without its complexities. He was an electrical engineer and instrument maker, a skilled tradesman. Records indicated he was married to Dorothy Webb, and the couple lived in Melbourne. However, their marriage appears to have been tumultuous. Carl had a known passion for horse racing, a detail that would later spark new theories about the cryptic code found in the Rubaiyat. He was also known to be a somewhat reclusive individual, and his disappearance from public records in April 1947, just over a year before his body was found, was a significant piece of the puzzle. Dorothy had reportedly moved to Butte, South Australia, and it's speculated that Carl may have been traveling to Adelaide, perhaps to reconcile with her, or for reasons connected to his gambling habits. The identification of Carl Webb brought a tangible reality to a figure who had long existed as a shadowy enigma. No longer was he just the Somerton man. He was a person with a history, a family, and a life that had for decades been tragically cut short and shrouded in mystery. This breakthrough allowed researchers to delve into his past, to look for connections, to try and understand the circumstances that led him to that lonely beach in Adelaide. Family photographs, previously unknown, began to surface, showing a man who was once a son, a brother, a husband. The anonymous autopsy photo, which had haunted the case for so long, now had a name and a face to accompany it. However, it's crucial to understand that while Carl Webb's identity was confirmed, the cause of his death remained officially inconclusive. The initial autopsy's suspicion of poisoning, though strong, was never definitively proven. The meticulously removed labels, the Tamám Shud slip, and the unbreakable code, these elements still hung in the air, unexplained. Was Webb a victim of foul play, perhaps connected to his gambling? Was he poisoned by someone he knew, or by a shadowy figure from a world of espionage, as some theories still suggested? Or was his death a tragic accident, or even a suicide, despite the lack of obvious evidence? The identification of Carl Webb also forced a re-evaluation of all the tantalizing clues that had emerged over the years. The connection to Jessica Thompson, for instance, took on new significance. Was there a link between Webb and Thompson that had been overlooked or concealed? The fact that Thompson's daughter later stated her mother knew the Somerton man only added more fuel to this particular fire. The puzzle pieces were still scattered, but now, at least, one of the most crucial pieces, the identity of the victim, was finally in place. This breakthrough was a testament to the power of modern forensic science and the dedication of those who refused to let a mystery die. It offered a glimmer of hope that even the most intractable cold cases can eventually yield their secrets. It also highlighted the importance of preserving evidence, even seemingly insignificant details like a few strands of hair, for future technological advancements. The Somerton man, now Carl Webb, had finally emerged from the shadows of anonymity. His story no longer just a nameless tragedy, but a personal history waiting to be fully understood. Yet despite this monumental step forward, the case of the Somerton man, or rather Carl Webb, continues to be a source of profound fascination and debate. The identification provided a name, but it didn't provide all the answers. In fact, in some ways, it only deepened the mystery, shifting the focus from who he was to what truly happened to him. The secrets he carried to his grave, the circumstances of his final hours, and the meaning behind the cryptic clues he left behind still beckon. The legacy of the Somerton man, now Carl Webb, is one of enduring questions, a testament to the fact that even when a name is found, the full truth can remain elusive, hidden in the lingering shadows of the past. And it's to these lingering shadows, these unanswered questions, that we turn our attention in the next chapter, exploring the theories that still swirl around this most perplexing of Australian mysteries. Chapter 8. The Lingering Shadows. Unanswered Questions and Persistent Theories. While the identification of Carl Webb brought a monumental sense of closure to the Somerton man mystery, providing a name to the nameless, it simultaneously opened a Pandora's box of new, equally perplexing questions. Knowing who he was doesn't necessarily explain how he died, or why he was on Somerton Beach in the first place. The truth, as it often does, proved to be far more intricate than a simple name could unravel. The Somerton man, now Carl Webb, still holds his secrets close, proving that even with a name, some enigmas are destined to remain, forever whispering from the past. The most pressing unanswered question, even after Webb's identification, remains the precise cause of his death. Dr. Dwyer, the pathologist in 1948, strongly suspected poisoning, a fast-acting, untraceable substance, yet officially, the cause of death remains inconclusive. If it was indeed poison, who administered it and why? Was it a deliberate act of murder, a calculated elimination? Or was it a tragic accident, perhaps self-administered, a final, desperate act? The lack of any struggle or external injuries continues to baffle. Could a man be poisoned so subtly, so efficiently, that he simply lay down and died without a sound? This medical puzzle persists, challenging forensic science even today, begging for a definitive answer that has eluded experts for decades. The very idea of an undetectable poison, a silent killer, adds a chilling layer to the narrative, suggesting a level of sophistication that is deeply unsettling. Then there's the enigmatic code found in the Rubaiyat. Despite Carl Webb's identification, the meaning of the cryptic letters, Mergoab Abdi, MLIAOI, WTBN Gasamstgabi, remains a complete mystery. Was it a personal cipher, perhaps a diary entry or a message to someone specific, known only to Webb? Or was it, as some still believe, connected to something far grander, a relic of a hidden world that Webb might have been part of? The spy theories, though less prominent now that a civilian identity has been established, haven't entirely faded. Some argue that Webb, despite his seemingly ordinary life as an electrical engineer, could have been recruited or involved in some form of intelligence work, perhaps as a courier or a low-level operative. The Cold War was just beginning, and many ordinary citizens found themselves drawn into its shadowy conflicts. Could the code be a testament to a life lived on the fringes, a secret existence that ultimately led to his demise? And what about Jessica Thompson? Her connection to Carl Webb, if any, remains shrouded in ambiguity. Was her initial denial of knowing the Somerton man a genuine lack of recognition, or a deliberate attempt to conceal a past relationship? Her startled reaction to the plaster bust and the phone number in the book continue to fuel speculation about her true involvement. Was she a jilted lover, a former colleague, or simply an innocent bystander caught in a web of intrigue? The fact that her daughter later stated her mother knew the Somerton man only adds more fuel to this particular fire, suggesting a deeper, perhaps romantic or professional link that she chose to conceal for decades. Her silence, or perhaps her carefully chosen words, became another layer of the enigma, a silent testament to a secret she carried to her grave. The puzzle pieces are still scattered, and while Carl Webb's identity is known, the full picture of his life and his death remains frustratingly incomplete. The circumstances of Webb's presence on Somerton Beach also remain a profound mystery. Why was he there? Was he meeting someone? Was he planning to leave Adelaide? His wife, Dorothy, had reportedly moved to Butte, South Australia, a significant distance from Adelaide. Was he traveling to reconcile with her, or for reasons connected to his gambling habits which were later revealed? The train ticket to Henley Beach, which he never used, suggests a change of plans, a last-minute decision that led him to Somerton. What transpired in those final hours? Was he alone or was he accompanied? The beach, usually a place of leisure and relaxation, became the stage for a silent, inexplicable tragedy. The meticulous removal of the clothing labels, a detail that initially pointed towards a professional, remains unexplained in the context of Carl Webb's life. If he was an ordinary electrical engineer, why would he go to such extraordinary lengths to erase his identity? Was it a personal quirk, a desperate attempt to disappear? Or was it, as initially suspected, the work of another, a killer determined to leave no trace? This particular detail continues to haunt the case, a stark reminder that even with a name, the why often remains elusive. Even the Rubaiyat itself, the source of the Tamám Shud slip and the cryptic code, continues to hold its own secrets. Was it a book that Carl Webb cherished, a personal philosophical guide? Or was it merely a prop in a larger, more sinister drama? The fact that it was found in an unlocked car, seemingly discarded, adds another layer of confusion. Was it placed there by Webb himself in a final desperate act? Or was it left by someone else, a silent accomplice or a cunning killer, attempting to mislead the investigation or leave a chilling signature? The case of the Somerton man, now Carl Webb, continues to be a source of profound fascination and debate precisely because of these lingering shadows. The identification provided a name, but it didn't provide all the answers. In fact, in some ways, it only deepened the mystery, shifting the focus from who he was to what truly happened to him. The secrets he carried to his grave, the circumstances of his final hours, and the meaning behind the cryptic clues he left behind still beckon. The legacy of the Somerton man, now Carl Webb, is one of enduring questions, a testament to the fact that even when a name is found, the full truth can remain elusive, hidden in the lingering shadows of the past. It's a powerful reminder that some puzzles are designed to remain unsolved, their allure lying precisely in their impenetrability. And as we move towards our final chapters, we'll explore how this enduring mystery has captivated the world, becoming a true cultural phenomenon. But before we do, consider this. If you were Carl Webb and you knew your time was short, what single, final message would you leave behind, knowing it might never be fully understood? The answer, perhaps, is as complex and personal as the man himself. Chapter 9. The Enduring Echo, Somerton Man in Popular Culture. The Somerton Man case, even with Carl Webb's identification, continues to hold a powerful, almost magnetic grip on the public imagination, not just here in Australia but across the globe. It's a story that has transcended its origins as a mere police cold case and permeated the very fabric of popular culture, inspiring countless books, gripping documentaries, enthralling podcasts, and even fictional works that draw on its chilling elements. Why this enduring fascination? Why does this particular mystery, among so many others, continue to resonate so deeply with people, decades after the events unfolded? Perhaps it's the sheer number of unanswered questions, the tantalizing clues that lead nowhere, or the inherent human desire to solve a puzzle, especially one so deeply shrouded in mystery. The elements of the case are almost tailor-made for a gripping narrative, a true crime story that feels more like a meticulously crafted thriller. You have the anonymous body, found on a picturesque beach, a stark contrast to the grim reality of death. Then there's the untraceable poison, hinting at a professional, silent killer. The cryptic code, a challenge to the brightest minds, promises a hidden message, a final confession, or a chilling revelation. The mysterious woman, Jessica Thompson, whose reaction to the death mask spoke volumes, adds a layer of human drama and potential forbidden romance. And, of course, the whispers of Cold War espionage, painting a picture of a man caught in a dangerous global game of shadows. Each piece adds a layer of intrigue, allowing for endless speculation and interpretation, inviting everyone to become an armchair detective. This potent cocktail of mystery, intrigue, and human drama has ensured the Somerton man's place in the pantheon of great unsolved mysteries. It's a real-life whodunit, a true crime story with a persistent, almost mythical quality. The case serves as a stark reminder that sometimes, even with the most diligent investigation and the most advanced forensic science, some secrets are simply too well kept. The Somerton man, or Carl Webb, has become a symbol of the unknown, a testament to the fact that reality can often be stranger and more perplexing than fiction. His story continues to resonate because it taps into our deepest fears and curiosities. The fear of disappearing without a trace, the terror of an unknown assailant, and the insatiable curiosity about the hidden lives and untold stories that walk among us. Let's talk about its presence in various media. In the realm of literature, The Somerton Man case has spawned numerous non-fiction books, each attempting to piece together the fragments of evidence, propose new theories, or re-examine old ones. Authors like G.M. Feltus and Carrie Greenwood have delved deep into the archives, interviewing witnesses, analyzing documents, and presenting their own compelling narratives. These books often read like detective novels, drawing the reader into the intricate web of clues and red herrings. Beyond non-fiction, the case has also inspired fictional works, where writers use the core elements of the mystery as a springboard for their own imaginative tales, exploring themes of identity, espionage, and the human condition. Imagine a spy thriller where the protagonist is tasked with deciphering a code left by a dying agent on an Australian beach, only to find himself entangled in a web of international intrigue that mirrors the Somerton Man's own story. Documentaries have played a crucial role in bringing the Somerton Man's story to a wider audience. From television specials to independent films, these productions often feature interviews with investigators, forensic experts, and amateur sleuths, presenting the evidence visually and allowing viewers to form their own conclusions. The haunting images of the plaster bust, the Rubaiyat book, and the desolate Somerton Beach have become iconic, burned into the collective consciousness through these visual narratives. These documentaries often highlight the human element, the frustration of the police, the dedication of the researchers, and the enduring hope for answers. And of course, in the digital age, podcasts have become a natural home for the Somerton Man. The episodic nature of podcasts lends itself perfectly to unraveling complex mysteries, allowing hosts to delve into minute details, explore various theories, and engage with a global community of listeners. Shows like Astonishing Legends, True Crime Sleep Stories, and countless others have dedicated multiple episodes to the case, dissecting every clue, debating every theory, and keeping the conversation alive. The intimacy of the podcast format, with the host's voice guiding you through the labyrinthine details, creates a uniquely immersive experience, making listeners feel like they are part of the investigation themselves. It's a perfect fit for the Outback Confessions style, where we aim to bring you deep into the heart of Australia's most baffling tales. The case's enduring appeal also lies in its ability to adapt to new scientific advancements. The recent DNA breakthrough, identifying Webb, breathed new life into the mystery, proving that even after decades, technology can still unlock secrets. This constant evolution, the possibility of new information emerging, keeps the case fresh and relevant, ensuring that new generations continue to be captivated by its allure. It's a testament to the power of human curiosity, the relentless pursuit of truth, even when the truth remains stubbornly out of reach. Moreover, the Somerton Man has become a kind of modern folklore in Australia. It's a story told and retold, debated in pubs, discussed in online forums, and passed down through families. It's a part of the national psyche, a reminder that even in a relatively young country, there are deep, unsolved mysteries that challenge our understanding of the world. The phrase Tamám Shud itself has entered the lexicon, a shorthand for something finished, something ended, but with an underlying sense of unresolved enigma. It's a story that invites participation, encouraging everyone to put on their detective hats and try to crack the code, to solve the puzzle, to bring closure to a man who died without a name. This chapter highlights how a single, perplexing event can ripple through time, influencing culture and sparking endless fascination. The Somerton Man is more than just a cold case. He is a narrative, a symbol, a challenge. He represents the human desire to understand the unknown, to bring order to chaos, and to give a voice to the voiceless. His story continues to resonate because it taps into universal themes: identity, loss, secrecy, and the enduring quest for truth. And as we prepare to conclude our series, we are left with the profound legacy of this man, a mystery for the ages, a testament to the fact that some stories, once told, simply refuse to be forgotten. Join us for our final chapter, as we reflect on the ultimate legacy of the Somerton Man, and ponder what lessons, if any, can be drawn from this most extraordinary of Australian enigmas. Chapter 10. The Legacy of the Somerton Man, a Mystery for the Ages. So here we stand, at the end of our journey into the enigma of the Somerton Man. We've traversed the sands of Somerton Beach, peered into the sterile confines of the autopsy room, grappled with cryptic codes, pondered the enigmatic silence of a mysterious woman, and even delved into the shadowy world of Cold War espionage. We've witnessed the monumental breakthrough of his identification as Carl Webb, a name finally given to the nameless. Yet despite all the revelations, all the tireless investigations, and all the scientific advancements, the core questions persist, echoing across the decades. How did Carl Webb die? Why was he on Somerton Beach? And what was the true meaning of the code he left behind? The case of the Somerton Man remains a powerful testament to the limits of human investigation and the enduring power of the unknown. It's a story that continues to evolve, with new theories and insights emerging even today, proving that some mysteries, perhaps, are not meant to be fully solved, but rather to be pondered, debated, and passed down through generations. It's a narrative that refuses to be neatly packaged, a puzzle with missing pieces that continue to tantalize and frustrate in equal measure. What, then, is the true legacy of the Somerton Man? Firstly, it's a profound reminder of the fragility of identity. In an era before widespread identification documents and digital footprints, a person could, quite literally, vanish without a trace. The meticulous removal of Carl Webb's clothing labels speaks volumes about a deliberate attempt to erase his existence, either by himself or by another. It forces us to consider how much of our identity is tied to external markers, and how easily it can be stripped away. It's a chilling thought, particularly in our hyper-connected world, that someone could become so utterly anonymous. Secondly, the case highlights the unpredictability of life and death. Carl Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne, ended up dead on a beach in Adelaide under circumstances that defy easy explanation. His journey from a seemingly ordinary life to becoming the subject of one of the world's most famous cold cases is a stark reminder that fate can take unexpected turns. The suspected poisoning, the lack of struggle, the cryptic clues, all point to a scenario far removed from the mundane, suggesting a hidden drama played out in the quiet hours of a summer night. Thirdly, the Somerton Man case has become a catalyst for forensic innovation and amateur sleuthing. For decades, it was a benchmark for unsolved mysteries, a challenge to law enforcement and forensic scientists. The relentless pursuit of answers by individuals like Professor Derek Abbott and Colleen Fitzpatrick, utilizing cutting-edge genetic genealogy, demonstrates the unwavering human desire for truth and closure. Their success in identifying Carl Webb, even after so long, offers hope for other cold cases, proving that no mystery is truly beyond the reach of determined inquiry. It also ignited a passion for true crime and amateur investigation in countless individuals, turning them into armchair detectives, poring over every detail, every theory, every nuance of the case. Moreover, the mystery has fostered a unique community of enthusiasts and researchers. From online forums to academic papers, from documentaries to podcasts, people from all walks of life have come together, sharing theories, debating evidence, and collectively trying to piece together the puzzle. This collaborative spirit, driven by a shared fascination, is a testament to the enduring power of the unknown and the human need to understand the inexplicable. It's a community that, even with the identification, continues to seek the full story, the why behind the who. Finally, the Somerton Man, now Carl Webb, is more than just a cold case. He is a cultural touchstone, a symbol of the secrets that lie hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives. His story invites us to look closer, to question more deeply, and to embrace the fascinating, sometimes unsettling reality that not every puzzle has a clear solution. He represents the ultimate unsolved mystery, a permanent fixture in the annals of Australian folklore, a narrative that continues to inspire awe, fear, and endless speculation. As we conclude this series, we are left with the profound legacy of this man, a mystery for the ages, a testament to the fact that some stories once told simply refuse to be forgotten. The Tamám Shud slip, the unbreakable code, the mysterious woman, the whispers of espionage, and now the name Carl Webb. These elements weave together into a tapestry of intrigue that continues to captivate and challenge. The Somerton man's story is a reminder that the world is full of hidden depths, of lives lived in shadow, and of truths that may forever remain just beyond our grasp. Perhaps the true lesson of the Somerton man is not about finding all the answers, but about the journey of asking the questions. It's about the human spirit's relentless quest for understanding, even in the face of the inexplicable. It's about the enduring power of a good mystery to spark curiosity, inspire research, and connect people across generations and continents. Carl Webb may have found his name, but the enigma of his death and the secrets he carried will likely continue to echo from Somerton Beach for many years to come, a silent challenge to all who dare to listen.